My name is Jeff H. Sipe, and I have over 10 years of recruiting experience, including 5 years at Google. In this video, we are going to explore a very common question from my clients, which is, should I research my interviewer? And the answer is definitely yes. In this video, we are going to get right into the weeds as always, and I want to show you kind of what to look for and the benefits of this information in your interview. If you like my content, please like. If you have any comments, please comment below. And if you like my overall content, please subscribe. Item 1, which is critical, is ask for the information. So sometimes your recruiter or hiring manager, whoever your point of contact is not always going to be super forthcoming with the information. So the first step is, hey, Jane, can you provide me with the interviewer names and their LinkedIn profiles? At a minimum, you're trying to get their names. Then a step down, you're trying to get at least their first names. And at a minimum, I really want you to try and at least get their role. Because this literally is not giving up any information, but it will allow you to look up people with similar functions, similar roles on LinkedIn, to just find commonalities and focus areas that are going to be really beneficial. In this video, we are going to go under the assumption that you have been provided with their full name and or their LinkedIn profile, which is a great segue into item 2, LinkedIn. Okay, this is our big topic of the video, and we're going to dive in section by section. So step 1 is your settings. And so on your LinkedIn profile, your default setting is going to be that the person's LinkedIn profile that you're viewing can see that you viewed their profile. Now, if they have a basic account, they can see the last 5 people who have reviewed their profile. If they have a premium account or an upgraded account, they can look at people who have viewed their profile for the last 90 days. So the question is, should you change your settings to say and be anonymous? And the answer is, if your LinkedIn profile doesn't look fantastic, then yes, you should. I think the most important item is having a great LinkedIn profile so that if a hiring manager or potential interviewer goes and sees you viewed theirs and views yours, that it looks good, that all the information is up to date, no spelling errors, etc. So I think actually more often than not, sometimes you should, just based on how your profile looks. This also depends on timing. You may be in an extreme rush to get this interview done, and I really, really want you to focus on getting ready for the interview, not updating your LinkedIn profile. But obviously, you always want to be watching videos on how to update it, and then asking a couple people to review it for you can be super helpful, super impactful. So step 2, their current role. So if you are lucky and your interviewer has provided a lot of data on not only the job responsibilities of what they're doing in their current role, but also their accomplishments, this is huge to identify what they're passionate about, and then you can cater your answers based on this data. Spend a lot of time digging in on this item. The more they share, the more it is an advantage to you. Step 3, other experience. This becomes about trending. What are the trends in their career that really show what they heavily focus on? Whether that's a technical component, whether that's really project or program management focused. Really see the themes from their career, and this will show up in the other experiences that they've had. Step 4, activity. Do they post anything? If so, what is it focused on? What do they comment on? What do they like? Again, you're just looking for trends. Activity can really show you what's important to them, and it could even be a soft skill like empathy. So just something that I want you to be looking at and thinking about. Step 5, the about section. Yes, I actually want this step to come a little bit later, because now you've kind of put everything together, you're starting to get a clear picture of your interviewer. Does the about section provide any additional clarity? Does it connect with the information you've come up with? People tend to not write great about sections, but this could also be really, really meaningful and impactful for you. Step 6, okay, let's really dig in. This falls into the way too much category, but again, from a trending and theme perspective, it's important. So where did they go to school? Obviously, if you went to the same school, this would be great. What kinds of licenses and certifications do they have? Where do they like to volunteer? Um, is any of this applicable to the interview? Even digging down into endorsements, recommendations, maybe. So again, we're getting really far into the weeds. You could even go down into the groups that they belong to. It's a lot to go through this entire exercise, but how much do you want the job? How much do you care about getting the job? And if your interviewer really has a great profile, these are going to be beneficial to you and to your advantage. Step 7, connections in common. And so you definitely want to see who you're connected with, who are second connections, like connections between the two of you. And one of the pro tips here is being proactive instead of reactive. So let's say your interviewer is connected to a former boss of yours and the two of you didn't have a good relationship. You are going to be very proactive and identify something that that boss did really well and a learning and something that you would have changed in your relationship with them. And you'll be ready to answer that question about how you worked with a difficult boss, etc., because you might want to anticipate that if this person has that connection. Now, is this a stretch? Would they have to do a lot of research as well? Absolutely, they would, but just something to consider. Again, it's always better to be proactive instead of reactive, and you might have a really interesting, fun, like connection, just something to put in the back of your head. Step 8, people also viewed and similar profiles. So you'll go to that section on the right hand side and you'll look at similar profiles to them that were also viewed because they might be at like organizations. It might just be helpful, but more importantly, you are going to look at similar profiles of people in the same or like roles at that organization. It's going to give you maybe a little bit more information on job responsibilities, accomplishments, and it's just going to add to the success level in your interview. Step 9 is the job description exercise. So I'm going to pin that video up top. And if you literally want to copy and paste without formatting into a Google Doc, you can start looking for trends and keywords, etc. Again, it's a very heavy duty step, but it can be very helpful. The last step, step 10, do not add. It's just critical that you don't ask your interviewer to connect with them before the interview. After the interview went well, went poorly, ask them to connect, but not beforehand. It's not professional and it just puts them in a little bit of an uncomfortable spot, so just don't do it. Item 3, other social media platforms in Google. So the reason for taking this step is to gather any additional information on them, and this is just for context. So you're not saying, hey Sue, I saw on your Facebook page you also have a golden retriever, right? But maybe they have a GitHub page, and that tells you they're passionate about tech. Or maybe they wrote an article on Medium highlighting the benefits of Agile. So these pieces of information can just be critical and give you some great insight and give you a little bit more background on them. Item 4, general research. Just connect your interviewer specific research with general research. This will help you create better connectivity with them, and I'll plug a card up there to help you on this general research topic. Okay, now let's flip to the interview. Item 5, adaptability. So you've put in all the work to not only prepare for the interview, but prepare based on the interviewer. You got to test your assessments. And so if Sue, the interviewer, showed up as really technical, you are going to provide more technical depth in your behavioral answers and open-ended frameworks. You are looking to notice their body language when you highlight these more complex or more technical items. And lastly, you'll test it a little bit by asking good follow-up questions, such as, Sue, in my example, I only briefly touched on how we improve the code by using Python 3.7. Do you want me to get a little bit more into the weeds and details there, etc.? And if Sue seems uninterested in all this technical information, you still have to rely on your hypothesis. You still have to push a little bit technical, but maybe you adapt and adjust and you pull back a little bit. Adapting in any scenario is just going to be absolutely key. Item 6, acknowledgement. Acknowledging that you looked them up on LinkedIn during the interview at the end of the interview is up to you. I just want you to use a little bit of common sense and a little bit of caution on this item. Of course, if they say, I noticed you looked me up, you can say, absolutely, Sue. I wanted to find out a little bit more about you, and it's obviously critical to my preparation to know a little bit more about the organization and employees within the organization. And you can go a step further. If you have one really common, unique connection, you went to the same graduate program, etc. All I'm going to say is tread lightly and always err on the side of sharing less. And last item, item 7, questions for your interviewer. This is actually super important. Make sure that you've utilized all this data to create great questions for Sue. You just don't want to back off of being really specific with those questions because you've put in all the time and effort to really get to know Sue and her background. It can still stay a little bit high level generic, but it can really benefit you. Okay, to sum up, we always dive deep and we get into the weeds. And will you do all of this? Maybe not, but it's just setting the stage for what you can do and how it can lead to success. And by taking these steps, you can absolutely set yourself apart from your competitors. I really hope this helps. Thanks.